Cardi B just pressed upload on what might be the most expensive 7 minutes on the internet this week, and the internet responded by trying to set her mentions on fire. 7 designer bags. 3 countries. 1 woman telling millions of followers she has, quote, a sickness, while some of those exact followers are sitting in the dark because the power bill didn't get paid. And somewhere inside this haul, buried between a Birkin and a Kelly, Cardi B says one sentence at the very end that either exposes the entire game or accidentally tells the truth about all of it. We're going to get to that sentence, because when you hear it, this whole story flips. But first, you need to understand why a bag video, of all things, turned into a full-blown culture war in the comments section. So here's what happened. Cardi B hopped on TikTok with a haul. Not a regular haul. Not a Target run. Cardi B sat down and walked her audience through every luxury bag she had purchased over the past 5 weeks, and she did it with the energy of somebody showing off trading cards. Cheerful, casual, completely unbothered. And look, on any other week, this is standard influencer content. Celebrities post hauls every single day and nobody blinks. But this didn't land on any other week. This landed in the middle of an economy where people are genuinely choosing between gas and groceries, where rent is eating paychecks alive, where the comment sections of every app have basically become group therapy for the financially exhausted. And into that environment walks Cardi B with a suitcase full of 6 figures. Now, before we even get into the bags themselves, I need you to hold one thought in the back of your mind, because it's going to matter later. Cardi B didn't just buy these bags. She narrated the buying. She narrated the competition. She narrated the obsession. And the details she volunteered, completely on her own, are the exact details that turned regular viewers into a firing squad. Remember that. Let's start with the opening bag, because the story attached to it tells you everything about the world Cardi B lives in. She explains she had the matching outfit for this Chanel bag sitting in her closet for 3 months. 3 months. The outfit existed before the bag did. And when she finally went to the Chanel store in New York to claim it, she found out she was 30 minutes too late, because Jordyn Woods had walked in half an hour earlier and snatched the very last one in the entire city. Now pause on that. In Cardi B's universe, the drama of her week is a luxury scavenger hunt against another celebrity, settled by a margin of minutes, with a consolation prize that still costs more than most people's cars. She laughed about it. So whatever, she said. And to be fair, that story is funny. It's charming, even. But it's charming the way a nature documentary is charming. You're watching a species you will never be, in a habitat you will never enter. Then came bag number 2, a massive everyday tote she picked up in Paris. And I need you to really sit with the phrase everyday bag, because the item she is describing as her casual, throw everything in it daily purse is a piece most families would have to finance. Cardi B admitted she hasn't even moved her stuff into it yet because, her words, she has attachment issues and she's lazy. Then she looked into the camera and put out an open casting call to every Chanel associate watching, asking them to hit her up because she wants the same bag in green. She is recruiting luxury retail employees through TikTok, like she's posting a job listing. That is the level of access on display here. Bag 3. A furry, gorgeous fall piece, and Cardi B couldn't even introduce it without revealing that she already owns its twin. I have to have the siblings, she said. The siblings. She doesn't buy bags. She adopts them in pairs. And by the time she got to the white Bottega with the feather trim, the one she says only exists in Italy, the mask slipped a little, because she confessed she wore it exactly once and will probably never wear it again. Too delicate, too white, too precious to actually use. A bag with a 4-figure or 5-figure price tag that now functions as a museum piece in her closet, and she said it with a shrug, like admitting your gym membership when unused. Then there was the second Bottega, the giant one, also from Paris, which she proudly described as a day-to-day bag. And then came the moment that would go on to headline every reaction video covering this story. Cardi B held up a Birkin, somewhere in the 20 to 25 size range, sitting right next to a Kelly 26 in the same color, and she explained her reasoning out loud. I love this color so much, I had to get it in both. I have to have both of them. And then she said it herself, twice in a row. I have a sickness. I have a sickness. Now, she meant it as a joke. A self-aware, winking joke. But jokes land differently depending on what the person laughing is going through, and a whole lot of people watching that clip were not in a joking place. That one line, I have a sickness, got clipped, quoted, and weaponized within hours. And she wasn't done. There was the powder blue-gray 25 from the Hermès store in Paris, the one she framed as a fun little summer to fall crossover piece. And then the finale, a Kelly from the Hermès team in London that she thanked by name, closing the whole presentation by calling herself, proudly, an addict. New York, Paris, Italy, London. 5 weeks. 7 bags. One addiction confession. That is the haul that set the timeline ablaze. But wait, because this story has a second layer that almost nobody covering it bothered to mention. This wasn't even Cardi B's first haul of this exact type. There's another haul video floating around, a Chanel-focused one, where Cardi B opens by joking that she's old, she's 33, she doesn't understand TikTok, and then she proceeds to show off what she calls the hardest bag to get at Chanel, plus a green one, plus boots she says she'll wear when she tries to save New York City, plus a bag she openly admits she didn't even love, but bought anyway, because, quote, oh well, why not? She bought a bag she doesn't love, to avoid future regret. And then, at the end of that haul, Cardi B says she's saving her money for a big overseas shopping spree. Saving her money for a shopping spree, while half her audience is saving theirs for rent. And here's what makes that second haul so important to understanding this story. Casual viewers treated this like one isolated video, one bad week of judgment. It wasn't. What we're actually looking at is a pattern of output, a content pipeline where luxury acquisition is the recurring programming, delivered on a schedule, aimed at an audience whose financial reality has been deteriorating in real time for years. Cardi B didn't make one tone-deaf post. Cardi B is running a format. And that distinction matters, because a format implies an audience strategy. Somebody in the decision chain believes hauls are what her followers want to see. And the brutal irony is that until very recently, they were right. The hauls performed. The views came in. Nobody at her level changes a winning formula because a few hundred comments complain. And until this video, the complaints were always drowned out by the applause. What changed wasn't Cardi B. What changed was the temperature of the room she walked into. And that brings us to the reaction, because the reaction is where this stopped being a fashion story and became something else entirely. The comments came in hot, but not the way you might expect. This wasn't a stan war. This wasn't Nicki versus Cardi nonsense. The people going at Cardi B were, by and large, her own fans, and a lot of them opened with love before they swung. Love Cardi, but, one commenter began, before listing what the regular world is actually worried about right now. Healthcare, Medicare for seniors, keeping the lights on, food, unemployment, homelessness. Another person told her flat out, Cardi, my lights were off in Indiana for 11 straight days. Please, not now. 11 days in the dark, watching a millionaire giggle about bag siblings. Somebody else pitched an alternative. It's school season, do a book bag giveaway instead. Read that one again, because it's the most devastating comment in the entire thread, and it's not even angry. It's a fan gently suggesting that the woman flexing 7 luxury bags in 5 weeks might consider flexing 1 backpack on a kid who needs it. The harshest reactions accused Cardi B of something more specific than being rich. They accused her of being unable to read the room. Never can read a room, one wrote. People can't buy groceries. Not now, Cardi. Another laid out the math of the moment. The way this economy is set up, it's not the time to be showing out while 90% of the planet is fighting to make ends meet. And that framing right there, read the room, became the entire headline of this scandal, because it shifted the conversation away from what Cardi B owns and onto what Cardi B understands, or doesn't. And the generosity angle deserves its own examination, because it cuts deeper than the rest. The commenters suggesting a book bag giveaway weren't pulling that idea from nowhere. Cardi B has, at multiple points in her career, turned directly toward her community with real resources, and fans remember those moments vividly because they felt personal, not corporate. That's precisely why the ask stings the way it does. Nobody's demanding generosity from strangers. They're requesting it from a woman who has already shown them she's capable of it, in a season when backpacks and school supplies are breaking family budgets. When your own supporters start drafting your public relations strategy in your own comment section, unprompted, for free, that's not a mob. That's a warning flare. The most sophisticated voices in that thread weren't saying Cardi B is a bad person. They were saying Cardi B is leaving goodwill on the table at the exact moment goodwill is the most valuable currency in the culture. Now here's where I have to be fair, because this story has 2 sides and pretending it doesn't would make me no better than the outrage accounts farming this for clicks. There is a legitimate defense of Cardi B here, and her supporters made it loudly. Cardi B has never once pretended to be anything other than exactly what she is. This is a woman who came up from nothing in the Bronx, said so on every record, and built a persona around unapologetic, loudly celebrated success. The bags aren't a plot twist. They're the brand. When your entire public identity is I got it out the mud and now I shine, a bag haul isn't hypocrisy, it's consistency. And her defenders raised a genuinely uncomfortable counter-question. Since when is one woman responsible for managing the emotions of millions of strangers? Cardi B didn't cause the economy. Cardi B didn't set gas prices. Cardi B didn't turn off anybody's lights in Indiana. There's an argument that demanding she dim her success because times are hard is really just asking her to perform humility for an audience that would call her fake if she did. And honestly, some of her most loyal fans went further. They pointed out that the same internet dragging Cardi B for a haul will happily binge-watch an entire reality series built around wealth porn. Yacht shows, mansion tours, luxury unboxings rack up hundreds of millions of views from the very people claiming to be offended. So is the problem the flexing, or is the problem who's doing it, and when? One comment cut straight to the philosophical bone of the whole thing. Does somebody else's happiness actually affect my life? That's the question the defense rests on. If your answer is no, then this whole scandal evaporates. Cardi B bought bags. The sun came up. Nobody was harmed. But hold that thought, because there's a detail that complicates the clean version of that defense, and it's the detail almost everyone skimmed past. Remember what Cardi B said at the end of that earlier Chanel haul, after showing off bag after bag after bag, after announcing she's saving up for an international shopping spree? She looked at the camera and said, "Don't get it twisted. Just because you see these things, I don't have no money. I swear, I don't have no money. This is all an illusion. This is all an illusion." Now, she was joking. Obviously, she was joking. Cardi B is one of the highest earning women in hip-hop history. The money is not theoretical. But think about why that joke exists. Think about what it reveals. Cardi B felt the temperature. Even she knew, in that moment, that the optics of the flex needed a pressure valve, so she built one in, a little disclaimer, a wink that says I know how this looks. Which means the read the room accusation isn't quite accurate, is it? Because Cardi B did read the room. She read it well enough to preemptively excuse herself from it. She just decided to post anyway. And that's the pivot point of this entire story. Because once you notice that, the debate stops being about whether Cardi B understands the economic moment and becomes about something much more interesting, whether understanding it creates any obligation at all. Cardi B knows people are struggling. She said the quiet part out loud herself, wrapped in a joke. So the question mutates from, is she clueless, into, is she accountable? And those are two completely different scandals. Let's pull the camera back even further, because Cardi B is not operating in a vacuum here. She's operating inside an entire creator economy that runs on aspirational content, and hauls are the purest form of it. The haul genre exists because watching someone else acquire things triggers something in the viewer's brain, a little taste of the acquisition high without the acquisition cost. For years, that transaction worked beautifully. Celebrity flexes, fan fantasizes, everybody goes home happy. But something in that contract has started to crack, and you can feel it across every platform. The mood has shifted from I want her life to why is she showing me her life while I'm drowning. That's not a Cardi B problem. That's a cultural turning point, and Cardi B just happened to walk into it carrying 7 bags. There's also a detail worth naming, because it reveals how this world actually works. When Cardi B described losing that Chanel bag to Jordyn Woods by 30 minutes, she wasn't telling a story about shopping. She was describing an economy that normal wealth can't even access. These bags aren't bought. They're allocated. Wait lists, relationships with sales associates, spending history, status. Cardi B wasn't bragging about money in that story. She was bragging about rank inside a system where money is merely the entry fee. And honestly, that might be the most alienating part of the whole haul for regular viewers. It's not that Cardi B can afford these things. It's that there exists an entire parallel civilization with its own rules and rivalries and 30-minute windows that her audience will never touch. The haul didn't just display wealth. It displayed a border. So now let's deal with the counter argument, the one that says the critics are being unfair, even hypocritical themselves. Because they might be. Scroll the same comment sections dragging Cardi B, and you'll find people who follow her precisely for the luxury. The bags are the content. The excess is the entertainment. If Cardi B posted a video tomorrow shopping at a discount store, half the internet would mock her for falling off, and the other half would call it a publicity stunt. She cannot win. The audience demands authenticity, then punishes the authentic version of a life they subscribe to see. And you could argue the fans projecting financial pain onto a bag video are doing exactly what they accuse her of, refusing to read the room. The room in this case being that Cardi B has never once claimed to be anything other than a woman who loves expensive things. But then you swing back, because 11 days without power in Indiana is not a talking point. That's a person's life. And when enough people in your own audience are living that reality, maybe the bar for sensitivity isn't about fairness to the celebrity at all. Maybe it's just about timing. Nobody was asking Cardi B to sell the bags. Nobody was demanding she apologize for her success. The overwhelming majority of those comments were asking for one thing, a pause, a moment of awareness. a sense that the person they made famous remembers what the ground feels like. Whether Cardi B owes them that pause is, honestly, the entire argument. And here's the part one keep coming back to, the loop we still haven't closed. Remember that final line. This is all an illusion. Sit with how true that sentence accidentally is, because influencer luxury is frequently an illusion in ways the audience never sees. Bags get loaned. Items get returned after the haul. Brands cede products to celebrities for exposure. The entire haul genre is built on a foundation of strategic presentation, and viewers consume it as documentary. I am not saying that's what happened here. Cardi B buys her bags. Her relationship with these fashion houses is documented and deep. But the fact that even she reaches for the word illusion tells you she understands that everything in this ecosystem, including the backlash, including the think pieces, including this very video, is part of one giant performance economy. The flex is content. The outrage is content. The defense of the outrage is content. And Cardi B, whether by genius or by instinct, feeds every single side of it. Which is why the people predicting her downfall over this are going to be disappointed. Dragging doesn't hurt Cardi B. Dragging is Cardi B's cardio. This is a woman who has survived feuds, court cases, viral humiliations, and full-scale internet pile-ons, and come out of every single one with her streaming numbers up. The audience that claims to be exhausted by the flex keeps watching the flex. 7 bags, 1 scandal, millions of views, and a comment section doing free promotional labor around the clock. If there is a sickness here, it might not belong to the woman buying the bags. It might belong to the machine that can't stop watching her do it. So where does that leave us? On one side, you've got fans with real, legitimate pain, people choosing between medication and meals, watching a millionaire call herself an addict over purses, and feeling genuinely disrespected by the timing. On the other side, you've got an artist who built her entire identity on unapologetic success, who never lied about who she is, whose critics are simultaneously her audience, and who already told everyone, in her own words, that none of this is as real as it looks. Both of those things are true at the same time. And the tension between them is the actual story. Because zoom all the way out, and what you're watching is a stress test for the entire influencer economy. For a decade, the deal was simple. We watched them live the dream, and the watching itself was supposed to be enough. That deal depended on the audience being able to imagine joining the dream someday. But when the gap between the haul and the viewer stops feeling aspirational and starts feeling geological, the deal breaks. And when the deal breaks, the same content that built the empire becomes the evidence against it. Every major celebrity with a luxury-heavy brand is watching this Cardi B situation right now, whether they admit it or not, because the verdict in her comment section is a preview of the verdict waiting in theirs. That's why this story traveled so far, so fast. It was never really about 7 bags. It was about where the line is now, who gets to draw it, and what happens to the stars who find out they crossed it only after the upload. Cardi B will be fine. Cardi B is always fine. The next celebrity who misreads this moment might not be. So now I want to hear from you, because this one genuinely splits the room. Does Cardi B need to read the room? Or does the room need to stop expecting celebrities to manage their emotions? Is posting a luxury haul during a rough economy a failure of awareness? Or is policing the timing of somebody else's joy its own kind of entitlement? And here's the question I really want answered. When Cardi B said this is all an illusion, did you hear a joke or did you hear a confession? Drop your take in the comments, because I read them, and the best ones are going to shape what we cover next. That's all I've got for you today. I'll talk to you later.